Have you ever wanted to remix a song but got no idea where to start? Then this video is for you. I'm going to take you through my step-by-step method on how to make a remix. Step 1 is all about finding the right track to remix. So this is going to take some digging and some research, but let me show you here what I like to do. So one thing to do is to Google and then find Spotify playlists through Google, or you can just go on Spotify and search them. And here's an example. So I've put in TikTok famous songs, and then the top link here, TikTok music 2023 viral trending songs. And then there's all these tracks here that you can listen through, find one that suits your style and go with that. Also there's charts, so the top 40 charts here. There's 40 different songs here, and these are all new as well, so these will be fresh in people's minds. And then of course there's classics, so you've got like 80s music, you can search 80s music, and then you've got all this music here you can just look through and find a track that suits you. Now the reason we're going for popular songs is when you finish your remix and you release it, you want it to reach as many people as possible to get as many new fans as possible. And this is the best way to do that, especially when you're new to producing and just starting out. Once you've found a track, step 2 is to extract the vocals from that track. Before you use any tools to do that, I would highly recommend looking for a studio a cappella first. So you can do this just by going on Google. So this is the track I recently remixed. So you can actually go into Google and type this in, a cappella, studio a cappella, and then you can just go through these and look for one. If there are any saying you can buy it, don't do that. That's just a scam. They don't really have them unless they give actual proof that they have them, like a sneak peek of the song, and then compare it with other versions to make sure it is the right one. And then you can go on YouTube as well and search through. So here, type in studio a cappella as well and just look through until you find something. And most of the time there won't be a studio a cappella available, but sometimes you get lucky and there will be. And then you can just download that either directly from YouTube, or if someone's left a link to a download, go through there. The quality doesn't matter too much, because you can just grab an MP3 or whatever, and then we can do some post-processing on it later on. But if you're struggling to find any acapellas at all, what you can do is use a tool to get this. Now, my favorite tool to use is FL Studio, and at the time of recording, this is in beta. So I'll leave a link in the description of how you can download the beta, but this is called a stem extractor. So you drag the track on here like this, then you go to the top left, and you go here and you go extract stems from sample, and then it can extract all these, and then you just click extract and it gives you these 4 sounds here. And I've listened to this and it sounds pretty clear. So this is definitely a good way to do it. And the beta is also free for people to download, even if you don't have FL Studio. So I recommend to get that. That is at the time of recording though. So if you're like an Ableton user and that's no longer available, then an alternative tool you can use is this one here, and this is called LALAL.ai, and you simply drag in the original track here, and then it will give you all these different options here, and you do have to pay if you want to extract the full file. I believe the cheapest starter one is £15, and that gives you plenty of minutes to work with, and then you can grab the vocal and extract it and export it and use that vocal sample. Step 3 is deciding on what genre to make your remix in. So as you can see here, every time we touch is 142 BPM. So I could either make a track in that BPM range, or I could try and slow it down or speed it up. I recommend around the 20 BPM mark each way, so like 120 lowest and 160 highest, because otherwise the vocal starts to sound a bit weird and too sped up. But it's music production, so you can just experiment with whatever and go for it. So in this case, I decided to go for a more bass style at 132, as that was the closest to 142, and I thought it'd work best on this kind of style of music. So another thing to listen to is the overall vibe and what genre do you feel it would work best with. So I was like, every time I touch, this would work really good on a bouncy bass style tune. And it's also important to decide what genre is big right now. For example, if you want your track to blow up, then it might be more beneficial to pick a popular genre. For example, on TikTok right now, drum and bass is really big. So it might be best to go for a drum and bass style remix. But if you're not bothered about that, then just go for whatever you feel like and just have fun. So step 4 is making sure you know the exact key of the track. So normally what you can do is you can go on websites like this and it will say the key. Like here it says A flat major. But just to keep in mind, these aren't always accurate. So fact check it with a few websites, make sure they're all saying the same thing. And then based on that, make your decision on what key the track is in. And then you're going to want to make your remix in that key as well. Or you can pitch it a semitone up, a semitone down, a couple semitones up or down, and change the key. It's up to you. But typically I like to stay in the same key as the track. So now you've thought of a track, it's time to start producing. And step 5 is about deciding which elements from the original track you want to use in your remix. So all this yellow here is what I've used from the original track. And you can see it's going consistently throughout the track. Now here I've used the vocals and the instrument, and then in the drop I've just used vocal chops from the original. So you need to make sure you're using enough of the elements from the original so you're able to distinguish that it is a remix. I've heard a lot of tracks that barely use any of the original, and then it doesn't even sound like the original, and you can't even like get hyped about it being a remix because it's basically just not a remix because they've missed out the essential parts of the original. And make sure to keep the most catchy element of the original in your remix. So in Every Time We Touch, I'm going to have to sing it because of copyrights. It goes, every time we touch, get this feeling, which is like the most catchy part. And I've made sure to keep that in my track and vocal chop it up. And I've also kept like the main hook as well in my breakdown and build up, which is going to be essential so that people can like sing along before it drops. For example, if you're playing it in a rave. So I recommend grabbing the original, the vocals and the instruments that you have and just laying it out. So you're laying it out with the intro, then the breakdown, the build up, and then the first part of the drop as well, just to get an idea of your foundations for what parts of the original you're going to use in your remix. And then step 6 is going to be making the drums for your remix. I recommend starting with the drop. So make some drums for the drop. I'll play you these ones. And then what I would have done is created these drums with the elements from the remix that I've already laid out playing, and then based them and shaped them around that. So if you're struggling to make your drums, grab another reference track from the style of music you're trying to make and whack that in your DAW, and then use that to refer to. And then just keep trying until you get the perfect drums. You might not be able to get it on your first attempt. It might take like 10 attempts, but just keep going and then asking for feedback from friends or in Discord servers, or just giving your ears a rest, then coming back and trying again. And just keep doing it until you get the perfect drums. And then once you've made the drums, I recommend you lay them out. So you lay them out in the first half of the drop. You get some intro drums going, you maybe start working on a little build up. And then once you've done that, it's time to work on step 7, which is the drop. So you're going to want to build a drop with your remix stems, with your drums, and make sure it's in the same key as the remix. Use sound design sessions, use Serum, use any samples that you have, look through sample packs for cool basses, and just see what you can come up with. So here I've gone for like a bouncy low end bass, so that the vocals can be nicely heard along the top. So I'll just play it without the vocals because of copyright. And you hear how much room that gives the vocals in the high end to come through and make the track sound really good and really well mixed down. So once you've created the drop, it's time for step 8, which is to work on the intro and finalize the build up, and then add any effects as well on top of that. So for the intro, you can add new instruments, you can use instruments from the original, you can use both, but just make sure that the original stems are like prominent in the intro, because that's where people are going to most recognize that it's a remix. So I've basically got a whole section here just taken from the original with some build-up drums over it, and that worked really well, and it barely took any effort. It's important to also keep it simple. So once you've done that, you should have a intro, a build up and a drop, and then step 9 is going to be to finish the track. So work on a drop 1 part 2, another breakdown, another build up, and then a drop that's slightly varied. Don't do anything crazy, just slight variation is all you need, and then you should have finished your track. Step 10 and the final step is to make sure your track is mastered, exported, and then release it. So the best thing to do with remixes is self-release them on SoundCloud and then include a free download on them. So you're also going to need artwork, so I recommend using Photoshop if you have the skills, and if not, using Canva. Canva is a great website to use. I'm not sponsored or anything, it's just what I recommend, and creating artwork through that. If you've got a load of money, you could even hire someone to do it for you, or you could try the AI websites like Bing AI app and get it to generate an artwork for you. I've done that for a couple of tracks, but it does take like a couple of hours just to get the right image because it makes so many crap images before you get a good one. And then what you do is you upload it to SoundCloud. So you can see my remix here has just been uploaded and it's got free download on it like this. And then on Hypedit, or however you say it, you add a download gate. You can make an account for free. You don't have to pay. And then people will come and download the track and then they'll have to repost it and like it to download it, and then it reaches more fans. Now, one tip I would say is to just release your music. Don't get hung up on how it sounds. If you're new to producing and you've just created your first remix, just get it out. It's a learning experience. If people don't like it, then who cares? If people like it, then they'll download it, and you'll learn so much just from getting it out there. I've seen a lot of people just sit on their tracks for ages and never release anything, and then they never make any progress. So just get it out there, and you can always delete it on SoundCloud if you end up having second thoughts about it. I hope this video has been helpful. It's been a little bit different to what I normally do, so let me know in the comments if you thought it was good, or if you prefer different styles. If you'd like more of these types of videos, just let me know, and make sure to check out my website. I'll leave a link down below. Loads of sample packs to get your hands on, and there's also some coaching as well. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.